7. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and X. And for the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. And that's just a sampling. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. For laptops, mobile phones, and tablets, download the Roku app. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
This show is brought to you by BetUS.com. 125% off your first 3 deposits, 30 years experience, secure site, wagering for all sports, including during the games and futures. SeatGeek provides you the best prices on sports and music events, game tickets, and concerts. Use NSS promo code to get $20 off your first ticket. Keep using the NSS promo code when purchasing tickets for great deals in the future. In Fanatics at nessp.info for your favorite teams. Sportswear, click on the link. And while you're there, check out our national streaming sports merchandise. Yeah, those were the days, Bobby.
Yeah, Super Bowl Giants.
Those were the days, man. I mean, there's no Super Bowl coming this year for sure, and not in the near future the way they're playing right now and the way they're being coached right now. So, welcome to the Big Blues Brothers show. I'm Mac Man and Big Bobby G. We're going to take you through all the Giants news, good, bad, and ugly. A lot of ugly out there today. And first, Bobby, I want to get your views on the overview of the game against the Eagles. What are your thoughts on that?
So the Giants actually, when they came out, the defense came to play the game for sure. They had 4 sacks in the first half. Unfortunately, the Eagles defense also had 3 sacks in the first half and harassed Daniel Jones to nauseum. It seems to me like every time, and I don't know if it's just me, but every time the Giants lose a player like a Thomas at left tackle, or you could just plug in a name, it seems like losing one person, one star on our team, and our team is a completely different team. I don't care who's coaching them. I don't care who the general manager is. I don't care what year it is. It seems to me every single time we lose one player, just one player, the whole team seems to fall apart on that side of the ball. And yesterday, we saw the ugly offensive line rear its head again that we've been seeing for the last X amount of years. I've lost count of how many years I've been waiting for a good offensive line. And I really thought we had a good offensive line. So the Giants, in their wisdom, draft a guard. And they move a guard to tackle. When most teams move a tackle who they feel can't play on the outside because of maybe a speed rusher, they move him inside. No, not us. We take guards and move them outside. Yes, because we're smarter, I guess, than everybody else. No one else does it but us. And what you saw yesterday is what happens when you do something as foolish as that. Now, I read an article right before we came on that Dable is now rethinking what they might do with the offensive line next week. And we can talk about that and guess who who Neal was going to play or who's going to play where, and they're going to move the right tackle to the left. I don't know. Anyway, again, going back to the offensive line, one player, and he's gone for the year. But one player has, it looked like, at least in a short snippet of time, it looks like that one player has derailed the whole offensive line, at least in one game anyways. But we'll see Monday when they play again against a team that is going to be heavily favored, at least 7 points, I would think, at home on a Monday night where Daniel Jones has won all of one game. When the bright lights come on and you're a nationally televised game, that's when Jones doesn't show up. But anyways, I digress. Going back to the game. So the game itself was odd. So we're running the ball well over the last few weeks. We're down an offensive tackle. So we run the ball 3 times in the whole first half.
Yes.
3 times. So let's have the quarterback who's been struggling carry us with our left tackle gone. Heaven forbid we should call a draw. We finally called one in the third quarter. Heaven forbid we should call a screen pass because the rush is killing our quarterback. Heaven forbid we would be smart enough to do that. Now look, I'm no professional coach. I don't get paid millions of dollars to coach a team, but I'm sitting there watching the game and wondering, where the heck is a screen pass?
Yes.
Can we do something? Can we roll the quarterback out? Can we do anything to help this poor guy because he's getting murdered?
Yes. Bobby, you read my mind. All the points I was going to make. No, that's fine. I mean, you're saying it all. It's true. It's just true. I mean, I don't know what the Dable is thinking. I have no idea. He's this offensive, great coach, and here we are. But as you said, down the tackle and a quarterback that can throw the ball down the field and spread it in certain circumstances. But as soon as he had the ball in his hands, the defense was there, whether it was a blitzer or whether it was up the middle or whatever it was. As soon as he got the ball, there was a guy in his face. And I watch other games. I don't just watch the Giants. Of course, I watch the whole game of the Giants. Love them or hate them, I do it. And I'm thinking, we got our new rookie wide receiver back. We got Wade Robinson. We've got number 86, our receiver that he's been working with forever, Slayton. All have great speed, and we're not hitting them with quick screens. And I watched Aaron Rodgers do it. We got our running backs that can catch the ball. They're not just dumping it over the top and letting the receiver. They're not doing tight end strings. They're not doing anything to slow the rush down at all. And I didn't understand. I just couldn't perceive it at all. I didn't know what they were trying to do. And if you're not going to run the ball against the Eagles, where you can run the ball against the Eagles, you can do that. Teams have done that, and we're not even trying. I think it was 6 times the whole game we ran the ball with our young rookie there. I didn't get it, and I'm looking at the game and I'm looking at Linda and I'm saying, I'm thinking to myself, what is this guy thinking? And there was no adjustments at a half, except we're going to do draws when there's 2 minutes left and call timeouts. The game's over, buddy. You missed the boat. What are you doing now? Let it run out. Let us alone, man. Let it go. And our defense, I mean, Saquon Barkley, I knew was going to have a big game against us. He had 176 yards in 3 quarters. He probably ran for over 200 if he stayed in the fourth. And eventually that wears the defense down. When it gets to the fourth quarter, me and you could run the ball again, Bobby, and we would pick up yards because that defense was just beat up and couldn't stand up to any of the run that the Eagles put against us. Now, our defensive backs. There was a question about Banks letting up on Hurts running that way. He didn't want a penalty. He didn't want to hit him out of bounds and get that penalty that a lot of quarterbacks pretend to go out of bounds and then they turn it up the sideline, which I think should be a penalty, but that's for another time. he didn't want that penalty. I understood why he didn't hit Hurts out of bounds and get roughing the passer and end up, down on the goal line again. But he threw for 108 yards, 1 touchdown to Brown. That was it. It wasn't like he tore us up. He had a couple tush pushes for 2 touchdowns. I mean, the defensive backfield, again, played really well. The line in the first three quarters played really well as far as holding up, getting pressure on Hurts. It just, in the fourth quarter, we didn't make any kind of adjustments at halftime, Bobby, and that's what really ticked me off.
The plays that really hurt the Giants, and there was a handful of plays. It was, and you mentioned one of them. The first one is Saquon's 40-yard run, and that set up then and Saquon comes out of the game. He goes back in. He scores a touchdown. So, but that was set up by that 40-yard run. That was in the first quarter, 7-0. The second quarter, and you mentioned it, was the long pass to Brown down the left side. That was 4th and 3.
Right.
And they completed a 40-plus yard touchdown, 14-0. Those 2 plays were killers against our defense. What hurt us going into halftime was the third play that hurt us in the game. And that was when we had the offensive pass interference in the end zone that negated 7 points.
Yeah.
We settled for 3 points.
Right.
For all intents and purposes, when the second half started and we ran we actually came out first 2 plays, run, and I think we got a first down. I don't remember exactly, but I think we got a first down. And then we went back to the pass again. For some ungodly reason, he didn't want to run the ball anymore. He ran it 2 times in a row to begin the game, got 7 yards, and then we went pass happy again.
Yes.
That hurt us right there. So that kind of sequence of those plays, and then Barkley had the other long run again, and you mentioned the tush push, and that was the game. By the fourth quarter, it's 21-3. Fourth quarter, we've got our backup quarterback in. They've got their backup quarterback in. Barkley would have had over 200 yards rushing. They sat him the whole fourth quarter.
Yeah, easy.
So all these things are very disconcerting. So there was 4 or 5 plays in the first 3 quarters that doomed the Giants. And those plays, absolutely, that was the turning point of the game. And Daniel Jones had 99 yards passing.
Yeah. It was.
I lost you there for a second. I'm sorry. No, I was saying Daniel Jones had 99 yards passing.
That's okay. That's it. Right. So I don't know, Bobby. I'll give you the stats I got here. How you doing, Sherlock? Big loyal fan of National Streaming Sports. Glad to have you on here. So as you said, Barkley had 176 yards, and we passed. Jones throws for 99 yards. You're correct. Tracy only gets 6 carries for 23 yards, all in all. Neighbors only gets 4 receptions for 41 yards, and Jones is sacked 8 times. And it was just it went downhill for there. And again, I don't know what the Dable's thinking. I don't know what his game plan was against a pretty good defense. We would agree the Eagles have a pretty good defense, especially with their pass rush. Their linebackers are pretty good too. I didn't understand what he was trying to do, and I'm glad they took Jones out, to be honest with you, because here, New York fans, that's what you got. If you really want your second string quarterback who can't throw the ball, not even as well as Daniel Jones, there you go. That's everybody's been saying, put him in. It don't matter. If that line can't block, it doesn't matter. You can put anybody in there. So that's what I thought about the offensive defense. Again, first half looked strong with our 5 sacks, but again, worn down by the end of the game, Bobby. I mean, you can't keep taking a pounding and expect by the end of the game to come up stout unless your offense is giving you something to work for, right? I mean, if you score a touchdown and you're within 3 or you're close to a tie, or at least you're moving the ball, none of the defense is going to work its ass off and suck it up. but they really gave the defense no reason the second half at all to really be motivated and really play really hard, Bob.
Well, you're looking at some of your, and you're going over the stats here and talking about what we saw, an overall team, and you mentioned how the defense kind of wore down a little bit. The offense right now at home is scoring 7 points a game this year.
Yes.
That's their average. Their overall is under 14 points a game, slightly below 14 points a game. I know we said it last week. You can't win in today's NFL where it's pass happy. It's made for offenses. It's made for scoring. And Dable is this offensive genius, and he was supposed to be a quarterback whisperer, and he was going to come here and Schoen was going to fix the offensive line. And I don't know. I'm not ready to like say we need to blow it up again. I don't think we need to blow it up today, but we're getting close to that, Joe Judge type of season.
Yeah,
really
I agree.
Cool.
I agree. And I don't know either. And I don't know who you would put in charge or who the interim coach would be if you do that. And, listen, I'm going to tell you, the owner of Mara and Tish, I know they have no problem in firing a coach in midseason if they have to, if they feel it's necessary. And I think Mara's not happy with that group already for letting Saquon go. And I know it's a little both ways, but that was our face of the franchise, if you would. And they could have worked something out right after that last year or at the end of last year. They could have signed him and gave him the extension, and Barkley would still be there right now. And I don't know if we would be winning more, but maybe we win 1 or 2 games. I don't know, more than we are right now. I have no idea. But
you're right. He's the face of our franchise, though. Totally. Yeah. When you think of the New York Giants, he's the first person that you think of. Defenses have to scheme for him. He keeps people up. The defense coordinator, some other teams up at night, and that's what you want from an offensive player. And who on our offense right now? Who on our offense keeps a defensive coordinator up at night?
I mean, even Neighbors didn't look that good. I know it's his first game back, but he didn't even look that good, really. So
he was frustrated. He said,
I
said he was. He was frustrated. He said, and I don't know. I looked at a play. Said, look at the tape. I'm open. So I looked at the tape, and he was kind of open. So he was frustrated. Yeah.
Well, what Bill Parcells says, Rick mentioned him with Mark Bavaro with Phil Simms. Phil Simms came off the field. He says, "How come he didn't throw to Bavaro?" He said, "Well, he was covered." Bill Parcells says, "No, he's not. He's never covered. Just throw the ball to Bavaro." So throw it to him. He'll catch the ball.
Yeah. Okay. So I wish we had Mark Bavaro.
Yes. I would too. So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I do. I don't think he throw to him. We don't like throwing the tight ends, Bobby. I mean, we don't throw it to the tight ends. So who knows? Maybe I'm just going to. We had 2 passes. One was nullified, and Bellinger caught a pass. We never threw another pass to Johnson the rest of the game. That was it. One nullified pass. We can't.
I don't know. We said every week. We talk about this every single week about the tight end getting him involved. And they don't.
I don't know. I don't know, Bobby. But I do know we have your New York Giants trivia question for today. So, Bobby, this is a trivia question. What season did Eli Manning throw for 31 touchdowns? 31. Eli had one of his best years in this year. So we'll leave it out there. At the end of the show, we'll revisit the answer with the year that Eli Manning threw 31 touchdown passes. So.
I think I know what year it is, but I'm not positive.
All right. Okay, Bobby. So we'll check it out. But first, I want to talk about a player. And we love talking about Giants history on here because we do have a very rich history. We go back with one of the original teams. And, of course, me and you grew up in the 70s, and we watched a lot of bad teams with some really good players on it. And as we said before the show, we really didn't have coaches back then. We had Alex Webster, and we had, a couple other schmucks that were trying to coach the Giants, and they never could get them together and play as a team. But there's one receiver that holds a lot of records, well, a few records, very interesting guy. Why don't you tell him a little bit about Homer Jones there, Bob.
Homer
Here
Jones.
He
Wow. He could play today because he was kind of an anomaly of his size and his speed that he had. So you're talking about a wide receiver at 6'2", 220 pounds. And you're thinking about that. That's a linebacker in that era. They weighed 220, 215. And he was bigger than some linebackers. And he could outrun everybody on the field. I mean, you're talking about someone that was so fast, and they called Bullet Bob Haynes the fastest human being alive. He actually beat Bob on a 100-yard dash, clocking in under 10 seconds, and beat Bob in that dash. But they were teammates also on the Olympic team. I don't know if everyone knows, but he went to the Tokyo Olympics, track and field star in college. He played for Texas Southern, and he was a track and field star there. He was Bob Hayes' teammate on that gold medal winning relay team in the Tokyo Olympics in 1964. Coincidentally, that was the year he would come to the Giants in 1964. He would go on to have 3 outstanding years, and in that 65, 66, 67, maybe 68. So 3 or 4 really outstanding years for the Giants, where to this day he holds the record for the average catch in a game for a receiver, 23.3 yards. When offenses are happy to have a 10-yard, 10 or 12, 10, 9, 10-yard type of average, he's doubling that all by himself. So he is a very underrated wide receiver during his era. Only Lance Allworth and Hayes himself had more catches in a 3-year span than he did. So he was in a top 3 wide receiver for a 3 or 4 year span with the Giants. Unfortunately, like in those days, if you got a knee injury, it was tough sledding. Gale Sayers could probably vouch for that. And unfortunately, he had a knee injury in college that kind of lingered. Even though he had that good speed, it didn't really stay for a long period of time because, of course, the game is brutal. John Madden said it best. I don't care what position you play, even wide receiver. If you line up once, your body's never the same.
Yeah.
And so he had a nice career. The Giants did end up trading him to the Cleveland Browns. And one of the players the Giants got from the Cleveland Browns was Ron Johnson.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so, that was it was a couple other players. I don't know if they were nondescript, if they had good careers, a bad career. I don't know. But Ron Johnson was a great running back, and we did get him in the Homer Jones trade. I'm trying to think anything else I could think of Homer. He was All-Pro. He had 200 yards or more, 6 seasons. So I mean, he was outstanding.
He led the league in 1967 in catches. For those out there, he also, when he went to Cleveland, his first game, he returned a kickoff or punt for a touchdown, 85 yards, and then that was it for him. He was done, and he went there to replace Paul Warfield, who ended up going to the Miami Dolphins. Also, he's the first one to spike a football. You see everybody spiking a football now. He did that, and as we talked before the show, it was because they were fining people for throwing footballs in the stands, and he couldn't afford it. So he ended up he ended up spiking the football. He went to throw it, and he spiked it. And of course, everybody today spikes the football. Big guy, fast. I remember Fran Tarkenton hit him over the middle, and him just kind of giving the straight arm to some of them defensive backs that really didn't want to hit him to begin with. But Homer Jones was, for his time and for the amount of time he was in there, the first receiver to have that average that has over 220 catches, I think it is.
Right.
He's the one that has that record. And still today, I mean, if you like to watch some of the older football like I do, and I know Bobby did. In fact, we grew up watching it, to watch some of these big guys do their thing back then. The guys that were a little bit that could play today, like the Jim Browns and the Jim Taylors and people that were that good back then. He's one of them. Yeah, we will talk about the Giants. Stick with us, Trevor. I'm glad you joined us from Canada. We will definitely talk about the Jets. Yes, in fact, we can go to that right now if you like, Bobby. We can kind of talk a little bit about what happened with the Jets last night. Yeah, I don't know if you watched the whole game or not. I watched the first half, and when the Jets only had 15 points, I knew they were going to lose in the second half. I did. I just knew it.
I watched the first half also. I got up and watched. I'm sorry, Trevor, but I did bail on the Jet game also. But I just a couple tidbits from the game. At least Aaron Rodgers took some blame this week. Last week it was somebody else's fault. They ran the wrong route. But this week he did take 2 interceptions. 2 interceptions to a rookie player who was not drafted. So congratulations to that young man. You intercepted Aaron Rodgers twice. They asked him after the game, "What are you going to do?" And he said, "I was hoping that he'd sign these footballs for me." Good luck with that.
Yes.
But he looks like a 40-something-year-old quarterback. And here's something interesting. So we're 7 games in. The Jets are 2-5. 7 games in last year, with Wilson as their quarterback, they were 3-4. So I don't know. He won one more game. They ran him out of town, or 2 years ago, I should say. They ran him out. No, yes, last year. They ran him out of town, but he actually had a better record through 7 games than Rodgers does right now. And is it Wilson, the number 5, their wide receiver?
Yeah.
Tough day.
Young wide receiver. Yes.
Tough day. Hit him right in the chest, right between the numbers, and that ended up being an interception. Wasn't Aaron's fault, but it's still an interception. And really, from that point on, that game was done.
I gave an analogy this morning on the Mac and Jack Sports Show. Everybody knows who Chef Ramsay is, Hell's Kitchen, and he also has a series called Kitchen Nightmares. And what happens in Kitchen Nightmares is there's this owner that was a former chef who used to be really good, or these owners hire this former great chef to run their kitchen. And what happens is that this chef has lost his passion. He doesn't cook the way he used to. It's not fresh anymore. He's not in there digging and prepping and doing all. He takes shortcuts, right? He buys frozen stuff. He buys frozen vegetables. He buys frozen soups and sauces and frozen stews. And to me, this is what Aaron Rodgers has become. He's become that once great chef that was passionate, that's looking for a quick fix. So they get Lazar. They get Adams, Devontae Adams. Now they got a defensive guy coming in there, and it looks like he's just trying to mix and match instead of taking his time. He was the reason, Bobby, the Jets were going to the Super Bowl last year, right? It's just him. It was nobody else. It was all the New York Jets needed. They had a good young core, good young receiver, good young running backs, a good young defense. All they needed was Aaron Rodgers. Now all of a sudden they need a lot of other people. And I think what they're doing is we're taking away from Aaron Rodgers and we're giving it to everybody else. And meanwhile, he only throws the ball to Devontae Adams 3 times, and he only gets 30 yards.
30 yards.
And I'm not saying, Bobby, that this might work a little bit later, but they got a long road to hoe. And I am tired of watching Aaron Rodgers stand on a pedestal and give his brief to all these reporters kissing his ass because the coach doesn't even do it anymore. And if you watch him on a sideline, he's not paying attention to what the plays were before. He's sitting there doing this, and the coach is looking at the plays. Who's coaching who here? It's really an odd situation. And I don't know what the Jets are going to be able to do about it.
Well, here's a question, and I meant to bring this up last week, so I'm glad we're kind of talking about this now. And I wanted to ask you this, but we ran out of time. Do good teams who are possibly going to be a Super Bowl contender, do they fire their coach after 6 games? Do good teams who are Super Bowl contenders fire their coach after 6 games? The answer is no. How can you? If you're a good team, you're a good team. You're a Super Bowl contender. Well, then you're a great team. Woody Johnson said, "This is the best team I've ever had." He was on record saying this 2 weeks ago. If this is the best team you've ever had, then, as you said, why are you making trades? Why are you firing coaches? This is the best team you've ever had. That doesn't add up to me.
Yeah. Trevor, I feel, honest to God, I love my grandfather's a huge Jets fan. I used to watch the Jets with him a lot. I liked the Jets. I liked what they did in the 80s with the Sack Exchange and Richard Todd and Emerson Boozer. I liked that team. I really did. I thought they were competitive, and we almost got a shot to play the Super Bowl against them. I would have loved that. But right now, it's just almost unwatchable for me because of this man. And I don't know what you do now, Trevor. Do you fire the coach? Do you fire the GM? Do you fire the owner? You can't do that, right? I mean, what do you do? I mean, I don't even have an answer. I wish I did. It's just I just wish that they thought about this Aaron Rodgers. Maybe they should have went and got Derek Carr. Maybe they should have tried to get Jackson. Maybe they should have tried to get another quarterback instead of Aaron Rodgers and let him go out south. Let him play for San Fran. Let him play for the Raiders. Maybe they should have done that. And maybe they'd be better off today than they are now. I don't know, Bobby. I don't know.
I don't know. That's all those are great views, great examples of what could have been. But is what's happening right now is, and Trevor here thinks that they're overrated, or he doesn't think they're overrated. Well, the owner doesn't think that, and the owner thinks he's the best team he's ever had. So, he doesn't think they're overrated at all.
Yeah.
I feel for you, Trevor. You're right. Our teams are kind of in the same boat right now, and they've been treading water for a long time.
Yes.
Long time.
I mean, you're talking what, 1968, 69?
69. Jets.
Wow.
People have been born in, unfortunately, if you were born in 69, imagine that, and you're a Jets fan. You've never seen a sniff of the Super Bowl.
I mean, I wish I had some words that would comfort you. I don't. And listen, my team stinks too. So I really can't throw rocks at the Jets. But you're right. Our owner at least knows that we're screwed up, and he's at least out there saying something like, "Hey, get it together" or whatever, not sitting back there and saying we got a great team. It's kind of sad. So anyway, we were going to talk about that anyway. Thanks for bringing it up, Trevor. So we got a couple games tonight. We got the Ravens going up to play Tampa, and the Ravens are I think are favored by 3. I don't have it in front of me. I don't think. Let's see if I got it at all. I think they're favored by 3 or getting 3 points. It's a close spread. And they got the Chargers also playing Arizona. I'm almost positive that the Chargers are favored by 6. That's bet us right now, calling me with the spreads, but I'm not stopping the show, folks. I'm not going to stop the show and answer the bet us phone right now because, I mean, they're probably upset I don't know the spreads. And by the way, that the little QR code up there, if you want to scan that, you can go to Bet Us site and make some bets on tonight's games. I don't like having 2 Monday night games, Bobby.
I don't either. We talked about this a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
I'm with you.
And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to get your thoughts on what do you think of the Tampa Bay, the Ravens game. Lamar Jackson's like 27-1 against the NFC, but Tampa Bay does have a very good team this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Ravens are going to score points, so they're going to score points. And I like, so if I'm Tampa Bay, I'm going to try to run the ball as much as I possibly can and control the clock because the Ravens have been run on this year. So, and I know they like to throw the ball, but I think if they're disciplined and they run the ball today, keep that offense off the field, Baker, maybe he can make a play when he can, but I don't think he'll need to carry the team tonight, I should say. But I think if they run the ball effectively, they'll have a chance to win. I like the Ravens in the game, But if I think if Tampa Bay can run the ball and Baker can make a couple plays, it could be a fun game to watch, actually.
I think so too. I think that it will be. I think it will be a close game. I really do. I give Tampa Bay a puncher's chance, right? I mean, Baker at the end of the game, in the fourth quarter, has really played really well for Tampa Bay this year. I think they beat the Lions, if I'm not mistaken. I know they beat a couple good teams in the quarter this year. But San Diego and Arizona, I call them the Chargers. San Diego Chargers, of course, the Los Angeles Chargers. Will the Arizona, they're up and down, Bobby. Will this be a game where they come out and they play their butts off? It's in Arizona, and they win this game, or do the Chargers just shove it down their throat? Herbert has a good game, and they kick the tail.
Well, Arizona had a signature win. They beat San Francisco, so they have that signature win on in that column. That being said, it's another. I think Harbaugh runs the ball against them. They could be had on. They could be had from an offensive standpoint, running the ball on them. It's going to be a tight game. I like the Chargers in this game. I think they pull it out. I'm not crazy about Phoenix's offense. I'm just not. I know they had that big win against the 49ers, but they didn't. The 49ers had their own problems too. And we saw that yesterday. Big. So I mean, maybe Brock Purdy is not the second coming. I'm not sure. Maybe they shouldn't put him in the Hall of Fame yet, as Parcells like to always say. So he had a tough game yesterday. But I do like the Chargers. I think Harbaugh will run the ball down their throats today. A low-scoring game, and I like the Chargers to win that game today.
All right, that's pretty good. I'm gonna go with the Ravens, and I'm gonna go with the Chargers also. I think the Chargers will control that game also. Let's take a look at the NFC breakdown right now.
Yep.
Washington, of course, is now 5-1. They just totally disassembled the Panthers 40-7. That was even without their quarterback for like the second half.
Right.
Mariota even threw for a couple touchdowns. The Panthers are just a bad team, Bobby. I mean, if that's one team I feel is maybe worse than the Giants.
I believe they're worse than the Giants. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but bringing the Panthers up, I was looking at the Giants' remaining schedule. That's one of two games that I think the Giants can win on their schedule the rest of the way. So, and they're playing, of course, in Germany. So it's a 9:30 start, which is kind of neat, I guess. Coffee and a egg sandwich and a ball game, I guess. But Carolina is probably the worst team in football. They'll have the number one draft pick. They'll probably go back to that quarterback well again. They're going to have to, I think. And Washington saying now that Daniels is week to week, so right. They don't know the extent of the injury. So he might be back next week. But you just said Mariota came off the bench and had a really good game. That's another thing. Looking back at the Giant game yesterday, how come other quarterbacks, and I thought about this when Mariota came off the bench, how come other quarterbacks on other teams, their backup, can come off the bench and put points up, and ours can barely complete a pass? And it happens all the time.
I watched one pass that might have been a big one that Hyatt dropped. Hyatt, I think to me, Hyatt's done. He's had no, I'm not talking about injured. I'm talking as a receiver. I'm tired of wasting time with Hyatt. I mean, come on. You got the speed. You get open. You got to make that catch. You got to make that catch. And not that we would have won the game because you did that. He doesn't run routes right. He's fast, good, but that doesn't mean nothing. We got a lot of fast people in the NFL. He just doesn't have the hands. And I'm tired of babying this guy for the last, 2-3 years? He's been here, 3 years now, Bob? This is his third year?
This is his third year.
His third year. He comes in, a lot of speed, No more with him. Let's push on from him. Let's go back to one of the older guys that are on the team that can catch the ball. And I'm tired. I'm tired of Hyatt. But yeah, and I watch other quarterbacks throw downfield, Bobby. And what I think it is you can't play action pass and throw the ball downfield if you don't run the ball.
True.
Right?
True.
And I'm tired of the Giants.
I just when Locke came in yesterday, he did look like a backup quarterback. But it just seems to me, and it doesn't matter what year it is, doesn't even matter what era it is. It seems like we never have the backup quarterback. Now, Tyrod Taylor, I shouldn't say that. Last year, Tyrod Taylor came in and had some good games. DeVito had some good games. So I shouldn't say that. I think, you're talking about Hyatt. Taylor and Hyatt had a really nice little thing going there for a while, a few games last year.
Yeah,
he aired the ball out and Hyatt ran after it and got it.
Yes.
So, it's like Fran Tarkenton said, and going back to Homer Jones, Fran Tarkenton said, I could never overthrow him. I would throw it as far as I could throw it, and Homer would always catch it. I couldn't overthrow the guy. So, and I don't know if that was his speed or Tyrod Taylor's touch or maybe a little bit of both. Yeah, I see that.
Trevor, we're laughing too. Trust me.
We're laughing also, and I'm crying tears. So it's just
yes.
It's not a good laugh.
So we got Washington first at 5-1. Philly now is at 4-2. Dallas under a bye week 3-3, and we're 2-5. And of course, listen, I didn't think anybody expected Washington to be there. Philly did look good. I think they're going to be fine going forward as long as they keep using Saquon Barkley. But, Bobby, how are we going to keep doing this? I mean, we got to go play the Steelers. I mean, what a defense. And we just saw they can run the ball really well, too. No, I don't think Russell Wilson's the best quarterback in the nation or even in the NFL. But he played pretty good. And, man, we better get this strap buckled back up again because guess what? These guys are going to be aggressive. They're going to bring the pads. They're going to hit us hard. And we better be ready for this game, Bobby. If not, we're going to get embarrassed. I'm tired of getting embarrassed, Bobby. I get embarrassed enough with my wife. I don't want to be embarrassed now. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Lord.
It truly is a Mission Impossible type of game, I think, coming up for the Giants on Monday night. We talked a little bit about earlier on when the bright lights come on. I don't know if they shine too bright in the Giants' eyes, but they are pedestrian at best when they play to a national audience. And it's not just this year. It's been really through all Daniel Jones's career with the Giants so far. So 6 years. I believe this is his 6th year. So 6 years, he has one win in a nationally televised football game. Unfortunately, he will have one win on a nationally televised football game Monday night too, unfortunately for us. I don't see a path to winning this game. I mean, everything's possible. Turnovers could happen. We are leading, and this is a weird stat for the Giants. When was the last time that I can't remember, when is the last time a team leading the league in sacks and in last place in their division?
I don't know.
I haven't looked it up. I'd like to look it up. Maybe I'll look it up for next week's show. But we're leading the league in sacks, and we are in last place. Normally, when teams are leading the league in sacks, they're a ferocious team that really no one wants to play.
Yes.
And I'll tell you now, everybody wants to play us.
I think the Giants have a almost great defense.
I agree.
They're not the Baltimore Ravens. They're not the Chicago Bears of 85. They're not the Giants of 86. No. They cannot take over a game and win it for you. I was looking for that pick six or a fumble scoop or a play. I was looking for that at the end of the game. And not that we don't turn the ball over. We do. but we don't do nothing when we get it. They don't come out and win the game 10-6 for you. That's not their defense. Their defense isn't built like that. Their defense is to put pressure on the quarterback, get a couple turnovers, and give the ball back to the offense. And right now, we just don't have an offense that can do anything with it, and that's a shame. It really is. It really is.
So, looking at the defense, and I think, and it's really, and I'm nitpicking it. So our Achilles heel is really the defensive backs, not because they're not good, it's because they're young. We're starting. We're starting basically because you want to have the nickel back as a starting defensive back. We're starting 2 rookies,
right,
out of the 5 positions. So they're just young, and Banks is young. He's only in his 3rd year, second year.
Yeah.
And and I'm not sure he might be a shutdown corner. I don't know. We don't know that yet. It took Corey Webster a few years to kind of before the light bulb went off, and Corey became a hell of a ball player for us as a defensive back, and not quite a shutdown corner, but close enough that he was able to really take on the number 1 receivers of other teams and really give them a go for their day against the Giants defense. So he was again. So I don't know if Banks is a Corey Webster or if Banks is going to be I don't know, somebody who just another first-round draft pick that just didn't pan out for the Giants. Because right now, you look at the Giants' first-round draft picks over the last couple of years, and it's not good.
No, it's not. It's not. I want to draft another quarterback. There's no doubt about that. There should be no excuse for not drafting a quarterback for next year. And
I haven't even looked at him yet, Mac. I haven't looked at the, I read a little bit about the college. I don't watch a lot of college football. I watch a little bit.
Yeah.
But, so I'll get more in once the bowl games come around, and I'll kind of get, when December rolls around, and I'll watch some of the bowl games, and then I'll start looking at the players and reading a lot of the scouting reports and figuring what we need, who we need, because right now the Giants, and they need a quarterback. They're not going to get the number 1 overall pick. That's going to, it's going to be probably the Panthers on the number 1, and they're going to pick the best quarterback coming out of. And that doesn't mean he's the best quarterback, but they're going to get the first shot at the best quarterback coming. And
then and the Patriots aren't going to take one.
No, the Patriots are a bad football team too, and they might be drafting in front of us.
Right, but they won't be taking a quarterback. Their guy Drake May. So we're going to be somewhere in the top, I think, 6. I think we'll be.
New Orleans has our same record. So New Orleans and us, we have the same record. So they're going to be vying for that 5 or 6 spot too.
Right.
And I can't believe I can't believe we're talking about the draft. It's not even Halloween yet.
Isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy? They're already saying in social media, wait for Arch Manning. We can't wait for Arch Manning.
No, we can't wait for Arch Manning. No, we can't wait for Arch Manning.
So we know right now that Pittsburgh with that central, the physical mentality, the Giants are going to have to play that way all game to even have a small chance of beating Pittsburgh. And I'm with you, Bobby. I don't think they beat Pittsburgh this week. What the spread is. Maybe they stay inside the spread. I don't know, but I don't think they beat Pittsburgh either. So we do have our 3rd worst coach in Giants history, and we will be doing the greatest coaches in Giants history too. We're not just gonna, make fun of all these other guys.
We'll do that next year.
Yeah. we just might.
So many bad ones to go over yet.
Yes. That there are so many bad coaches, but Bobby, we may have one of the worst coaches in Giants history coaching our team right now. We don't know yet, but from coach of the year to Joe Judge in 1 year. I mean, that's almost like Clark Kent to Superman, or I should say Superman to Clark Kent, right? I mean, that's about what we're looking at when it comes to the ball right now. Dable, the ball. I mean, they used to be the ball, and we changed Dable.
I guess I call him Dable. I guess. Is it the ball or is it Dable? I call him Dable.
Well, they used to call him the ball. It was like Shine with Shane, and then it's, I don't know anymore what their names are. I don't even know if it matters. I mean, anyway.
Not that keep losing football games is not going to matter.
It won't. We'll put him in this archive here. Okay, so we're at Pat Schumer. I know you remember Pat Schumer, Bobby. Pat Schumer has a 281 winning percentage in 32 games. He went 9-23. He coached from 2018 to 2019. Was part of 6 division crowns before getting there. Appearing in a Super Bowl. He was the offensive coach for Philly. He was an offensive coordinator for the Rams. Head coach of Cleveland. I don't know if you remember that or not, but he did have a brief stint at Cleveland. And then he came over here and he said, yeah, it's the Giants. I mean, I'm going to follow the tradition of what's set before me. And I'm going to, like Arnsberger was a great defensive coach. I guess Schumer was a pretty good a good offensive coach. And that didn't work either.
Yeah, I really truly believe that he was hired because Eli was going his tail end of his career, and I think that the ownership thought if they could bring someone in like that, kind of jumpstart the offense, try to get that offensive line right. Because I mean, it's a crying shame what the Maras and the Tisches did to Eli at the tail end of his career when Schumer was there, obviously, and how bad they got the offensive line. And how they didn't really – I don't think that they did enough for Eli. And Schumer did come in, and I remember that first training camp. They were asking him, Eli was, again, tail end of his career, coming off a couple bad years. And they're asking him, so how's Manning looking? He goes, he's throwing the ball like crazy in training camp here. He's throwing – and he's hitting everything. He's making all the throws. I can't wait for the season to start. And I remember all these quotes during that training camp period. The season started, and it was the same season we're having right now. Yeah, nothing seemed to change. The offensive line stunk. Eli struggled. The defense struggled. It was Dave Gettleman hire. I remember he said, I think when he hired him, and I want to remember the quote because Ben McAdoo was let go. And when he hired him, he said that the adults are back in charge.
I remember that. Remember
that quote?
Yes.
And nothing could have been further from the truth, Dave, that, we can talk about McAdoo another time because he's another one, but I don't know if it was an upgrade over Ben McAdoo to Pat Schumer. I didn't see any difference. McAdoo was, again, the Aaron Rodgers guy, quarterback coach for Green Bay, offensive coordinator for Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers loved the guy. High recommendation from Aaron Rodgers. I'm sure he got Mara's ear about that. And there really wasn't, I didn't see any upward trajectory. The arrow did not point up when Schumer took over. And it's strange because when he left the Giants, did he go to Denver and have some success there as offensive coordinator?
I'm trying to remember where I know he had success after he left the Giants. I'm not sure with what team. But didn't he also go to the XFL or USFL or something? I think he might have. I think he was in XFL lately. But anyway, yeah, I know he did have success after he left the Giants.
And Mac, you know as well as I do, just because you're a great defensive coordinator, we talked about Spags, doesn't mean you're a great head coach.
Right. It's very different.
You're a great offensive coordinator doesn't mean you're a great head coach because it's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
You just have to worry about one side of the ball. When they're not on the field, you're with your boys, you're with your guys, you're scheming. You're trying to figure out what's working, what's not working. When you're the head coach, you got to figure out what's working, not working, defensively, special teams, offensively, every facet of the game. Yep. And some people just can't do it. Maybe Pat was one of those guys who had a really brilliant offensive mind, but just couldn't wrap his head around, his arms around being a head coach.
I would agree. I mean, when you're a head coach, you're responsible for the water, you're responsible for the laundry, you're responsible for everything. And it's a totally different job. Time management, of course, is your biggest responsibility during the game. And as you see with the Jets coaches right now, they're having a hard time with all that right now. And I think a lot of coaches have that problem, Bob. So let's get to our trivia question. I think that's Trevor from Canada calling me right now to answer the trivia question because somebody just keeps calling me. I don't know who that was. Anyway, so let's see if we got the answer here for the trivia question. And of course, as I said, the year that Eli Manning did throw for 31 touchdowns, Bobby. And Bobby, I'm going to give you the first chance to answer this question because I already know the answer. So it's not fair. So I'm going to let you answer the question, Bobby. Tell me what year that Eli Manning actually threw for the 31 touchdowns.
I'm going to say it was 2008.
2008 would probably be a good guess. 2007, 2008, of course, they went to the Super Bowl, but it was the second time, Bobby. It's 2010, the year that he threw for 31 touchdowns, and they ended up beating the Patriots. So there you go. So anyway, yes. So that is it. And listen, we're out of here till next week, 5 p.m., same time, same giant channel. Thanks to Trevor. Thanks to Rick. A lot of views tonight, Bobby. We're growing like crazy out there right now.
That's awesome.
So, again, we're on the YouTube channel. We're on Roku channel. Check out the Roku channel, guys. If you like, 75 shows a week, all day, all night. You're going to have sports podcasts. All you got to do on your Roku TV is channel search National Streaming Sports, and you'll be there. In fact, right after this, Cheap Seats, the Cleveland Brown podcast comes on. So, you're going to hear that.
They lost their quarterback yesterday, so I'm sure that's going to be a heck of a show to talk about that.
Oh, my God. And the Brown fans acted a little off key, Bobby, booing them, saying about time, clapping that he got hurt. That's a little too much. I understand their feelings, and it's not, do that to the owner. Do that, boo the owner, say things to the owner, send things to the owner. The guy did what he did in the offseason. He's out there trying, and when somebody gets injured, I don't think it's right to cheer about that and so on. So anyway.
I agree. I mean, I know football's a tough game. It's a brutal game. Your body, you're never the same again. I mean, a quick story. I knew someone who had a relative who played for the Denver Broncos, and when he retired, after playing 10 years, he retired, and after about 6 or 7 years into retirement, he could barely walk.
Yeah. I mean, it's a dangerous game. I mean, Otto Graham had parts of his leg cut off. He was walking around on stilts for his legs after his season was over. And guess what? He said he'd do it all over again.
They all say that too.
Yeah, they do. And, again, Harry Carson had to teach himself to walk and talk again. Unbelievable. So, wow. Folks, the concussion really got to him. Folks, again, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate all the views. Like, shares if you can. Like us on YouTube. Check us out on Roku. And, again, you got Cheap Seats, Glove Fist, Sports Scope. Start spreading the news. We're full tonight, folks. Stay with us.